being on TV is not fun. The biggest lad eats 6 plates, and the rest eat 4. And he's like, "Ooh, yeah, did 9 plates, mate. You're in trouble." I'm like, "Oh, 9 plates, I'm in trouble." And the host was Stephen Mulhern. If you're going to throw up, can you just not do it on my suit? And I think he's just making it, because he's a bit of a funny man, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah. He's like, no, I'm being serious because I don't have to get it dry cleaned. I'm thinking, no bad. Johnny Vegas narrated that show.
Johnny Vegas, what a fucking guest that'd be.
We could get him on. Hi, I'm BeardMeatsFood.
And I'm Josh Gudgeon.
And welcome back to the Breaking Bread podcast, where I don't know if we have any listeners anymore, but we talk about stuff. And today we're going to be talking about the experience of being on the silver screen. Is that what they call TV?
Is that movie? In silver screen movies, or is that television?
So what's gold screen then?
I don't know. Platinum screen? If only I had my laptop
it's
to Google.
Where's the laptop? It's almost like we didn't plan this week and there are no show notes. Bronze screen. I don't know, being on TV and what it's like, and I might give you some insight into the times it's happened to me. But before that, we'll also, if you've seen another episode where we're in the same exact clothes, we might have filmed them on the same day. How are you doing, Josh?
Mate, I'm champion. I'm a couple of coffees deep now. I'm excited for this episode because it's one that I've not had to do any pre-production for. And I'm curious as to where it's actually going to go, because you reckon we could pull this off. I think just from your mind.
It was the first, I think it's the first time I've had an idea. I thought, hey, why don't we do a podcast about that? Because it might be enlightening to some people.
You did, and you had this idea a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, perfect, mate. We've got a Google Doc. Write down some notes. I can add bits to it. We'll get a show together. Sure as shit, you rock up today.
No, but that might
Let's
be...
free ball it.
Some of my most watched videos are ones that I didn't in any way plan, so I'm thinking that might transfer to
But we do
podcast.
know that you've got a pretty structured way of shooting a video, and it pretty much revolves around you eating some shit.
Yeah, true, which is not the case here. Still, let's talk about... I feel like I'm the host now. Let's talk about... No, but you're normally the one that leads things.
Okay.
TV experience. Would you ever... I'll start with a rhetorical question. I don't really care about the answer, but would you yourself like to be on... Would you like to be... If somebody offered you the experience to be on television, would you be excited at the opportunity, or would you be apprehensive?
Oh, Adam, thanks for asking that question. It's very nice of you. You clearly care about what my response is. I would, I think. It depends on what it is. Obviously, not naked attraction, because we spoke about that before. And
no, you'd be getting booted off first round, lad.
That's not my cup of tea. Yeah, the look at my ankles going, that lad don't squat. He's skipped leg day. Yeah, you know what? I would. Here's a little anecdote for you, actually. Ben, who we do the Channel 4, Channel 5, he did Police Interceptors Channel 5.
Oh, the one that Ben Pearson we had on
Pearson.
as a guest.
Of course we did, yeah. He wants to get into television, or like he wants to get back into television. He was arguably not in television, in my opinion. He were on Channel 5 Interceptors. He was just doing his job and getting filmed. Yeah. I think the stark difference will come out.
We talked about it a little bit, didn't we, when I said you're not really experienced the production of TV.
Yeah, but he wants to get into TV now. He's spinning a lot of plates. He's the man. He's trying to get his career off the ground, which I think, fair play to you. But he's trying to do it all himself. And what I said to him, I was like, mate, you need an agent, you need a manager. Like that.
Talent agency.
You need a talent agency. Because I can't help you because I'm not on telly. So you need to find yourself a talent manager. So we did a quick Google and we found a dude, I forget his name, an agency. They've got Dermot O'Leary. So it tells you all their talent on it. And I thought, this is quite interesting.
Some top-end talent right
there.
Top-end talent. The one that you drew out was Dermot O'Leary.
And we looked on it, and there's like TV, social, and then something else. So we clicked on TV and social, or one of them. And it tells you the follower count. And this gives you an example of the level of clientele. It was predominantly, like Dermot O'Leary, let's say he's got a reach of 1 million people across 3 social platforms. And you scroll down like a line and it's like just your average Joes.
Yeah.
Each one had a social following of around, none of them had much more above 10,000, right, across all platforms.
So why do they need talent representation?
I don't know. So I'm sat there going, I've got more followers than these guys. I'm like, could I go on television? Like, could I get an agent now?
You probably could. You know what's mad? The amount of people that I see, like, say on Twitter or on Instagram, and their bio says for contact, and they've got, they don't want to message them, they don't want you to message them. They want you to message an agency.
Yeah.
Like, it's more common than not amongst people that are even influencers, as we often call them. People who are, to a small degree in the public eye, have talent representation. I can't wrap my head around that, but...
Yeah, I think we're just too out of the loop. We're not in the click, man.
I would never want to be.
We're out the click because we're just some random dudes making videos on YouTube. But these people, like, you're talking. I clicked on one of them and I thought, let's see what their Instagram looks like. This presenter, and they had about 4 likes a picture, and 3 will have been from like each of the grandparents and then the dog. You know what I mean? Like the grandma's dog's account, and I'm like, I could fucking do this. Like, I could sign up for this and get on television.
I mean, I don't know how talent agencies work. I've been approached by a few and just been like, talent, you got the wrong guy. You're a talent agency. Why are you talking to me? Like, I don't have any talent. But I don't think I couldn't. I guess they probably take a cut of whatever gigs they get you, and I imagine they might approach and say, hey, do you want to be on the big fat, not big fat quiz of the year. That's a bit of a big deal, isn't it? Something like, do you want to do a
Steph's packed Channel 4 packed lunch?
Shit like that.
Which we've both been approached for.
Yeah. And you turned down, yeah. But I don't know how we get onto talent agencies.
Oh, yeah,
but,
my point was that, like, yes, I think I would go on television.
TV. The reason I asked you that question is because I thought that would be your answer, right? Because that's what most people think. Oh, yeah, it'd be great to be on TV. Well, this podcast today, if nothing else, is going to dispel, or it might encourage you to think twice about it, because being on TV is not fun. No part of it is fun. And that's not just because I'm a cynic, right?
Well,
but, and I can see you looking at me skeptically, but it's not. And I could share a few stories on why it's not fun, because I've been on TV. This is not a brag. It's nothing cool to be on TV.
Bragging.
But I've probably been on TV. I don't know, maybe between 6 and 10 times. I don't really keep count. And some elements of the experience are sometimes fun, but by and large, it's not fun, right? And the thing about how TV works, I think, from my perspective anyway, is, oh man, I could talk about this all day, but my issue with, I think, TV production is that very rarely will they ever try and pay. We know this, like, if you talk about even that as an example, you talked about Steph's packed lunch. I remember the first time they approached me, and you're not trying to extort people, right? You're just saying, like, if you want me to be on the show and contribute in some way, the lighting guy's he's not doing it for free. The sound guy, the producer, whatever. If you want me to be on the show, I'm requesting that you pay me. And if you don't want to pay me, that's fine. I won't be part of the show. But it's so often the case that people approach and say, do you want to be part of the show? It'd be great exposure for you.
Yeah.
Which, at a certain level, that appeals to people maybe who are just getting started out in a career doing something, whether it's, I don't know, something creative like YouTube, or something like maybe they're a stand-up comic, or they're a sports person, they just get started in the world. I get it, right? But exposure is not payment if you're contributing to a show which is earning money, and that's my big problem with it. And it's always the case with TV, as so many other things in life, that they're not prepared to pay for you as a contributor. Right, and I think the biggest problem with that is it's not a pleasant experience to be on TV. You get to say, "Hey, I'm on TV tonight, Mum." All right, and that might be fun for the first time, but there's no, the experience itself is, especially like me, you come from a position where you create your own video.
Yeah.
Where if I'm shooting something, I'm the talent, as they would call it in the TV business. I'm the guy that's camera facing, but I'm also the guy that shoots. I'm the guy that does the sound design, the edit, any annotations that go in there, the script. Not that I have a script on my videos, but any kind of daft gags that I might want to get in, I plan how it goes, right? And I control the content, and I reap the rewards of the content, right? If you're on TV, not only are you directed to do things, like, oh, can we do that take again? Can you be a bit more enthusiastic when you say that? And stuff like that. They control the edit, which means they can make you look. And there's a famous Simpsons episode where they talk about, they don't really talk about it, but they show like a fictional documentary where they make groundskeeper Willie out to be like a sex pest or something, but they've clipped a bunch of things that he said together without context. So it's the same with TV. So I always think if I'm going to be on TV, there are circumstances where I would do it for free. If somebody asked me to go on Soccer AM, I'm there, man, because obviously I watched that show when I was a kid,
yep.
And it'd be a laugh to be on it, I think. But there are other things where I know that this TV show is made for profit, and I don't want to be on it because they're probably going to make me out to be an idiot, which is fine with me. But if you're going to make me out to be an idiot, I'm getting paid for it.
Yeah,
basically.
Pay the bills. It's funny you said that. I mean, I think we mentioned it on a previous podcast, but the whole, like, we keep digging them out, but the packed lunch thing, like, it's a live show that goes on every day, and we've both been approached to do it. Admittedly, you should get paid. Maybe I shouldn't get paid, but I do believe that everyone should be getting at least a time covered. But when they said to me, oh, no, we don't pay. We just cover expenses. And I thought, all right, that can be manipulated. MPs do it. I can do it. My time is worth, for 4 hours, let's say it's worth 100 quid. And then I'll park in Leeds. That's going to be 20 quid. And then I'll buy some lunch because I don't think they give you a packed lunch while you're there.
So, the irony.
And it's like, no. It's a flat rate of £20. And I was like, pardonnez-moi. I was like, it literally costs more than that to park in Leeds for the day. Not to mention with diesel prices now to get into Leeds. I was like, people actually do it. People are signing up for this shit.
But the thing is, I think that appeals to the sense that people want their 15 minutes of fame. And I'm not criticizing anyone. If you want to be on TV, I remember when I was a kid and I remember my grandma being on TV. The weirdest thing is they were interviewing people about the general election. It was the one where John Major was elected. So I don't know how long ago that was. That would be in the 90s, right? And she was on TV and my grandma's just a head case. And she said, for some reason, despite, well, I don't want to get into politics, but she said that she liked, they said, oh, do you want John Major to be, it was on local, like Calendar or Look North or a local news channel. And the guy asked, he's like, do you want John Major to be Prime Minister? She's like, oh yeah, because he's lovely and cuddly. And like, there's no substance behind the argument. But I remember it's like, that happened and she told everyone. So she was like, oh, they said it's going to be on like Look North or Calendar tonight. And the family gathers around and say, oh, look, Grandma's, she's on TV. And there's some kind of prestige about being on TV.
It's a bit like radio, actually. You just reminded me because like I've been interviewed on radio before. And again, family were like, oh, we'll listen, we'll tune in. I'll listen to your interview. I'm like, in fact, it was like, that's when I got interviewed on was when we shot the garlic bread, wasn't it? Garlic bread. So remember, because I had to stop shooting because I had to go into another room and do the interview.
I do remember, yeah.
And the family were like, oh, we listened and it was amazing. I'm like, fucking hell, I do it like, especially now, I do that much stuff online. I do podcasts. I'm like, no one, like, family don't listen to the podcast.
Something about like radio.
And I'd probably put my life on that more people listen to this than the radio interview that were on BBC Leeds at.
That's the thing as well.
At 2 p.m. after, like no one's listening to that.
Yeah, like radio, TV. I don't want to say it's a dying medium, but it's far less popular. It's less how young people consume content these days than it ever was in the past. But I think still people like the idea of just being on TV, don't they? Like there's something about being on TV. Oh, I want to be famous, which I don't really understand. I've never understood this kind of clamor for like fame for no reason. Right? For me, fame should come as a result of something you give the world, whether it's like something meaningful like, I don't know, Einstein, theory of relativity, or if something creative like a Bob Dylan, or you write a book, I don't know, J.K. Rowling even, or anyone like that. You're known because you've done something right, which means something to someone. Whereas these days, I think, especially because of reality TV, people want to be famous for the sake of being famous. You just always get on that, like I used to hate that show X Factor, probably because I like music and that's like that antithesis to what music should be. But you'd always get them on, you'd never get anyone coming on and be like, what does this mean to you? They'd never say, oh, I'd really love to get a recording contract and put together 10 albums, win some Grammys, and perform live to people. It would always be, oh, it means everything for me to be famous and be known in every house. Like, why? Why do you want to be fucking known by people? I don't understand it. And that's why I think TV production companies rely upon, because the amount of times they contact me and say, do you want to be on the show? It'd be great exposure for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything for me to be exposed.
No.
In that way.
Yeah, like I said, there's nothing to back it up. It's we've put it into context before, I guess, when we said about people with YouTube channels then collaborating to think that audience will then transfer over and you will. Prime example, I do a podcast with a hairy little fella with 1.7 million subscribers. Right? In the description of this podcast, there's a link to every social platform of mine. Worst case scenario, let's say that 20% of your audience might go subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Categorically doesn't happen, and because like fame by so you've rightfully found your place and your follower count and your area in the world by being talented in one area, grinding your dick off for 7 years. It's true.
Grinding my dick off.
It's true, isn't it? So like that's the reason people follow you. Yeah. Like there's no reason for your audience to ever follow me. Like it just doesn't make sense because it's completely different worlds. Like I make like videos and shit, which is like pretty niche. Been known for making videos about how to make videos. Do you know what I mean? It's like
you feeling okay?
Too many coffee. Too much
coffee.
Too
many coffee. Too much coffee.
But yeah, and it's the same like going on telly. Like you go on telly once, you could scream at the cameraman. My Instagram handle is blah blah blah. no one's checking that. Like, no one's going out. Like, it's going to be a slog to even get some followers from whatever you.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, and the thing with my experience of being on TV, and I've done like prime time a lot of times. You know, like I've been on primetime TV probably like 4 times. At least, so by that I mean, you know, when most people are watching TV. It's not Steph's Packed Lunch, you know, which nobody's watching.
We're never getting invited on this show.
I don't care. I don't want to go on it. And I'm sure I've never watched it actually. I'm sure it's a great show and whatnot. But anyway, if you go on, I don't know where I was going with that.
Prime time. You're saying you've been on prime time.
So I've been on prime time a few times. So you would think that maybe there would be some transfer. So if somebody sees me eating something or whatever it might be, they might think a small, like you say, a small portion, maybe even if it's 1% of whatever 8 million people watching, might think, oh, I'm going to go look at that channel. It never works that way because that audience is not interested in what you do. They're there to be entertained at that point in time because they're watching live TV. They're probably older in terms of the demographic, and because of that, there's not going to be any transfer, right? So this phantom exposure people talk about, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't transfer to what makes me a living, essentially. And not only that, what interaction you do get is almost always negative, especially if it's something the like of which I do. If you're on there and you do something, people aren't going to necessarily react to negatively. All right, you might be fine. But the only thing I add, if a TV production company approaches me to be on TV, in my mind I'll add a premium because I know I'm going to get, you know, insults, death threats or whatever for what I'm doing from complete strangers because they're not the people that I appeal to. You know, it's not my audience. So to me, it's the amount of stories I could share about, you know.
I've got a question. I've seen you on a TV program before, and I'd say it was a pretty soggy representation of you as well. I can't remember what you were. I feel like you were in like an American diner, and it might have been an all you can eat. Is that right? Yeah. Is that like I'm not making this up in my mind?
Yeah, that was called the 2 million calorie buffet. That show.
Yeah. So it's a while since I saw this, but I remember watching that thinking, this isn't Adam. Like, it's their version of Adam, which is so far removed from your content of which we're all used to seeing. It's like, this is soggy. Like, this is a soggy representation of you. Like, what was that experience like then? So, like,
that show was actually all right, to be fair, because I've only ever done shows where I got paid. Like, even again, this is not me being conceited and, you know, pickhead and being a money grubber. To me, it's worth if I'm going to take time out to do a 2-day, 3-day shoot, I want to get paid for it, you know? So I'm lucky that I've turned down a lot of shows where that wasn't the case. That show I got paid for, admittedly, wasn't. I can't remember how much it was, maybe 600 quid or something like that. But that was a long time ago. That was, you know, when I first got started. And
Mike Winnick put a sock on his cock for 600 quid. So
yeah,
that's
parity, cool. I'm not sure this was any less embarrassing than that, though, to be honest. But yeah, if anything, I came away from that show having been narrated by Johnny Vegas. Johnny Vegas narrated that show.
Johnny Vegas, what a fucking guest that'd be.
You reckon we could get him on? Come on, surely.
I think, right, fucking tangent, right, but...
George, write that down.
Write it down, George. My mate, Alex Walmsley, who plays for St. Helens, just on his testimonial, Johnny Vegas is the biggest St. Helens fan ever.
Well, this show was filmed partly in St. Helens. Maybe that's why they got him to do it. But at the end, I thought, like, the show was dog shit, right? But... the fact that I was narrated by Johnny Vegas, who in this country is quite, or maybe not as much these days, but he had a heyday, right? Probably 10 years ago when he was really, really popular. And he's a funny dude, man.
He's a comedian. Legend, isn't he?
But yeah, filming that show was with the whole... I'll explain the concept of the show real quick if you're not... Because I think it's on YouTube, so I think you can probably watch it, or like on 4OD or something. And it was called the 2 million calorie buffet. Clickbait title, but the point of it was essentially like a light-hearted, tongue-in-cheek look at why all-you-can-eat buffets have kind of risen in popularity. It was kind of before its time, in that it assessed like the economics of it, you know, like people living with food poverty, it being like a what's the word? A frugal choice for them, you know. They can feed a family for a small amount of money and eat as much as they want. But then it also looked at, you know, if it was possible for essentially for the buffet company to be beaten, right, for them to lose money, and that was where I came in, right? So they kind of set up it followed, I think, 3 or 4 different groups. There was like maybe a couple or a family, like 2.4 children, why they liked all you can eat buffets, and it would watch them at the buffet how much they ate. Then they had like a American football English folks, but they were an American football team. and then a guy who called himself like the Buffet King or something, and then me, right? And so it did like a little kind of bio of each one, and part of my bio was they showed who I was back. They followed me on like a food challenge I was doing, which was a massive. It used to be the place closed down, but it used to be the hardest food challenge in England. It was like an 11.5 pound hot dog. And it took me like 4 attempts. Yeah, it took me like 4 attempts to do it. Like I'd failed that 3 times before, and I think probably because the TV cameras were there, I pushed harder than I would normally have done, right? But that was tough going. But that's how they set up who I was basically. Yeah. And the show itself kind of went like it followed that day of shooting was a nightmare as well. Like this is another thing about TV. You get the show schedule which says this is the time you need to be here. This is makeup. Even people like me need because they want to matte your skin so you're not reflecting light and stuff. Because I'm naturally pretty greasy, and I probably had more of a tan than I was probably. I don't know. I was eating more, so I don't know. But anyway, so I think I probably got there like 2 or something. I was supposed to be eating at 6. Yeah. Ended up eating at like fucking 8:30 at night. But
you're getting hungry.
Nah, it wasn't really that. It's just I don't really like eating late at night. You know this about me, right? And I just don't like things that don't go to plan. But that wasn't a big deal. I was just sat there, not really doing much, But they follow this first family, let's say, and say, okay, the dad eats maybe 3 plates, the kids eat 2 plates each, and then they go on to this American football team, and maybe there's 10 of them, or 15, whatever, and maybe the biggest lad eats 6 plates, and the rest eat 4, and so it's I think it essentially said that you need to eat 11 plates to break it any more than 11 plates and you've cost them money, basically, at the buffet. So obviously very few people were actually doing that. And then they had this guy, I can't remember, I don't know if he was like I don't want to say low level, but he was like an Instagram-y type guy, a bit like that, that food review club dude.
I don't know that.
Or like that, or like Rate My Takeaway.
Right, okay, yeah.
Not that I'm not insulting him or anything, but saying, a kind of a minor celebrity who does food stuff.
Food reviewer.
I think he was a bit like that. And he called himself like the Buffet King or whatever, and he said he's got kicked out of a few buffets or something like that. I can't remember. And the funny thing was he got wind of the fact that I was going to be on the show before the second day of shooting, which was at this place called the Chinese Buffet in St Helens. Yeah. Which is I think it's a nationwide brand, right? They've got a few around. It's like a big all-you-can-eat buffet style place. I think they've got robot waiters now, actually. I read that the other day. That's probably a video in itself.
That's a video, definitely.
I ate at the place with the robot waiters. Anyway, that's your kind of video. I would never.
That sounds like Daddy's video.
I never a title video. That. But anyway, I remember him in private messaging me. He said, "Oh, you're in trouble now, lad. You're going to be on this show, right? They think you're going to be the guy that." He's like, I'll eat more plates than you. And I'm like, all right. He was called George. I still remember his George. It must
Fuck
be
you, George.
But yeah, he was called George, and I remember thinking like, all right, mate, yeah, cool. Well, that's no big deal. So anyway, it comes time for me to eat, and I'd seen everyone because I'm last to eat. So I didn't see the family because I think they shot early day. Yeah. And then I saw the rugby team or the American football team leave, and I see this George guy leave. He's holding his belly, and he's like, "Ooh, yeah, did 9 plates, mate. You're in trouble." I'm like, "Oh, 9 plates. I'm in trouble. Yeah." So I sit down, and it was actually a pretty big, one of the bigger productions I've done. Probably like 15 crew, maybe something like that. They've got a lighting guy, and they've got me set up in this restaurant. The director, who was a lady, which was really nice, and she's like, which is quite uncommon that they're really nice. But she's like, "Yes, we just want you to eat till you satiated, until you're comfortable. I don't want you throwing up or anything like that, but just eat until you are comfortable." But the idea of the show is that you're the guy that's going to eat a crazy amount. I said, all right, yeah, no bother. So you're just going to flies in the studio. It's getting worse, man. No heating, flies.
I don't even know how a fly. We're in the top floor. We never cracked a window because it's freezing. Where's the fly
come from? Might come up in my beard. I don't know. But yeah, so she says, "You just eat until but we want you to eat quite a bit." So I'm like, well, they're paying me. I'll give them a good show, So they follow me around the buffet and whatnot. And in the end, I had to stop because they were. I was about ready to stop, but
they're running out of battery.
It was closing. The restaurant was closing up because I was eating so late. They were actually putting like trays away But so I ended up doing like 21 plates, right? And a lot of people that watched my channel at that time when it was way smaller got a bit of a buzz off like, "Oh, we always want to see you eat a buffet." Yeah. This fucking George dude messages me the next day. He's like, "Oh, fair cop, mate. You blew me out of the water there." But I think it was 20 or 21. But yeah, that was actually not a reasonably decent experience because going into it, I knew what it was going to be. But the most fun part of that to me was they got like the reaction of some of the staff, which is something I kind of often, if I'm filming my own YouTube video, I can't really get, Yeah. And there was this woman, I always remember there's a woman in there who works as a waitress or whatever at the restaurant. She's like, "Oh, look at him! He's got noodles coming out of his beard. He's got food dripping everywhere. What a minger!" Like that. And I'm thinking, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's a bit rude of him." Nah, it's in the spirit of the show, you know. She's not saying that to me directly, and I found that really funny. But that's probably one of the better experiences I've had with doing TV work. But it was a long day shooting. Yeah, I remember actually after that as well. There was a table, I think, Scouse lads next to me. Who got wind of what I was doing, not next to me, but perceptively, could see the cameras and what's going on here, because they didn't close the restaurant off.
Oh, really?
They
went for it, yeah?
Yeah, they had a spot kind of reserved, if you will.
Yeah.
But, and this, I got up to go, because I really need to piss at the end, because I've been drinking all day and eating and whatnot. And this guy's like, I heard him say, he's like, he's going to fucking throw up, lad. I'm going to go watch him in the toilet. So he follows me into the toilet. And I don't think he knew what to do, because like I walked in and just went to I think he thinks I'm going in a cubicle to like throw up or whatever. And I'm just having a piss at this urinal. I'm like, "You all right back there?" He's like, "Fucking hell, lad, you've just eaten a lot there, mate. I seen what you've been doing." But yeah, that was the drive home was a bit uncomfortable. But to be fair, I wasn't really full or anything.
That is mental though, that. Like that's what I bet that's a question you'll get asked a million times, isn't it? How would you do it an all-you-can-eat buffet? 21 plates.
And it's funny because a lot of people still ask me to do that now because they've not seen that, right? Especially like if you're outside the zone that can watch it, you know, because it's Channel 4. So maybe you can't see it in other countries, I don't know.
Yeah.
But because I don't think I could do it better than that, you know, because to do something like that, you need a production of a crew, I think.
Well, like I said, it's a weird dynamic because like the way that represents you. From an entertainment standpoint, your videos are funny because you've got your personality, but when you do it on a show like that, there's none of your personality there. You're just there functionally to eat some shit. Johnny Vegas is the one that's trying to add a bit of character to it, which is kind of weird, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, you're just a cog, right?
Yeah.
And that can be a bad thing because they can make you look bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in that case, they didn't. But there were other shows that I've done where it's been less. I knew it was going to happen because I wasn't born yesterday, right? If somebody's approaching a competitive eater to be on a show, they're going to make you look like a fool. That's the whole point, right? And I'm all right with that. You know, I don't give a shit what people think about me. But if I'm going to do it, I'm not doing it for nothing, and that's the whole thing that I get at. But there've been other shows that I've done where the productions that's probably one of the better ones, and I didn't come away from that with a bad taste in my mouth because I got paid. They were very reasonable, very very transparent, and the experience was pretty good. And what they produced was, I got it. You know, it was tongue in cheek. It was a bit lighthearted. And that's going to work, but a lot of them aren't like that. And I did another show called Go For It, which was on ITV. That was prime time. It's kind of like between, you know, when they've got like X Factor or something like that, and then before, I don't know, Britain's Got Talent or Dancing with the Stars or some shit starts, they've got maybe like 4 weeks to fill. So they did this like talent show where people with weird, like jugglers and stuff would go on there, and if you could do some kind of challenge that they set you, you could win money. And I had to drink like 8 pints of just disgusting stuff like baby food, cheese sauce, gravy, bone marrow broth. I still don't even know what that is to this day. Just some gross, milky, almost translucent liquid. And yeah, I got paid like £1,000 because I knew I could do, basically like, "Can you do this?" And I knew I could do it. I was like, "Ooh, I don't know," but I knew I could. Yeah. So like, I suppose that's prize money, but I was paid to do that. But that whole experience was awful. I had to go down to London, which I hate.
Love London.
Got there at like 10 in the morning. I ended up shooting, I think, at 6 at night or something like that. And I remember they put me in like a little, I thought, this is cool. This is your dressing room. I'm thinking, I've got a dressing room. I think, okay, I don't have a star on the front. But I've got, and it was, I don't know, it was like a closet, like under your stairs at home, you know. And I remember nearly knocking Colleen Nolan over on the stairs as well, actually, by accident. That's a funny tangent, but yeah, because it was ITV, like their headquarters in London, you know, like the proper studio where they filmed some stuff, and they've got like the big, you know, the actual studio sets where they've got seats and stuff. And I remember just being in there watching. I was watching golf because it was like I had like this old CRT television, right? Yeah, that had 3 channels on it or something. I was watching some golf highlights like all day because I was supposed to shoot at 2 or something, and ended up shooting at 6. And I remember the funniest part about that was the host was Stephen Mulhern. Have I told you the story before?
Mums love him. Yeah, I've told me this, but he's a family favourite.
I remember kind of getting on there, and they're giving you do like a rehearsal, and obviously I don't have to drink the stuff, but they said this is what's going to happen. And I'd not met this. You would think you'd kind of meet the host maybe before you start filming for a bit of rapport. I'd not met him or anything, and we're before we start shooting, he says to me, he's like, "If you're going to throw up, can you just not do it on my suit?" And I think he's just making it because he's a bit of a funny man, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah. He's like, no, I'm being serious because I don't have to get it dry cleaned. I'm thinking, no bed. Like, I thought I should have thrown up all over his face
I'd
afterwards.
have sneezed on him.
But yeah. So that was a weird experience because it was like a full day shoot, and it was another one of those where you kind of like a cog in a machine. You used a piece of meat, you know.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I got £1,000 out of it and expenses, you know. So that wasn't.
I want to find that video now. I wish
that one's definitely on YouTube.
We'll have to dig that out.
Yeah.
What was the show called again?
Go For It.
Go For It.
Yeah, I remember that was probably the one I got the most backlash and hate for as well. Like, you know, on social media, people found out who I was somehow, which I don't really know how they did because...
What, so they said it was like a fix then?
No, it was people saying that, like, oh, this is what constitutes Saturday night TV now and stuff like that. I'm like, fucking, I'm just, they booked me to come on the show. I came on the show. So if you don't like it, turn it off. It's far less offensive to me to watch somebody drink 8 pints of gross stuff than it is to watch somebody singing and be criticised for other people's entertainment like they do on X Factor. Let's laugh at this guy doing an audition, you know?
Yeah, so yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a weird one.
I think one of experiences that I've indirectly had that really put me off television. A mate of mine, Rico Franco, he's a professional MMA fighter. In fact, Danny mentioned him. He's got the most twist finishes. But he was the bare knuckle boxing champion, which again, wild. But that's one of them things where you can see where Channel 4 or 5 would pick that up and go, that's fucking extreme. That'll fit nicely into that box of weird and wonderful people. Yeah. We can make a bit on this. And he got asked to do a production with, it was being sold to Channel 4. I don't know the production company, but it was hosted by the Shard Climber. Have you heard of him?
No. There's a guy that climbed the Shard, I guess.
Yeah, free climbed the Shard. So he's hosted it, which, like, fair copy, seems like a really cool guy. So he got asked to do this show where the Shard Climber was hosting, like, trying out the world's most extreme sports. Actually, you know, he's an extreme sports guy climbing the Shard. So naturally tried bare knuckle boxing with Rico. So he got asked to do this filming with him. And Rico doesn't know any different. This goes back to that exposure thing. Doesn't know any different. Do you want to do 2 days of filming with what's going to be Channel 4 for the fun of it? Yeah. Didn't really hear out of it. These are the dates we're going to film. We'll film it in Leeds. He's from Scunthorpe. So Rico comes all the way up from Scunthorpe to Leeds, books himself into the village hotel around the corner and does 2 days of filming with this production company and the Shard Climber dude. So he tells me, he's like messaging me and he's like, this doesn't seem right because like, fucking, you know, they get paid pennies anyway, the fighters. And I've had to buy my own hotel. And he's like, do you think this is right? I'm like, fuck no, this isn't right. So like, I'm like, surely I've negotiated all sorts of deals before. I thought like I can do a solid for my mate here. I went and met him at the gym and the production company. So I got down early doors, there for 9 o'clock. Rico's warming up. Second day of shooting, producer walks in with the cam up. And I'm like, right, it's a big old camera. He had like an FX, I think it was an FX6 or an FX9. It were a new one. Yeah. Well, good bit of kit, bells and whistles, V-lock battery on it. I was like, this fucking 20, 30 grand there on his shoulder. So, you know, nice mics and that. And I thought, all right, so they've got money. Like, there's money there. The producer walks in. So he's telling, and I'm asking him loads, like, I'll play it sort of nice. He's like, good cop, bad cop. And I'm like, oh, tell us about the show, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, I said, are you going to pay his expenses? I said, what's he getting paid for this? He's like, oh, there's no budget for talent. and then I'm like, turned it to you then. I'm like, what do you mean there's no budget? I went full like, what do you mean there's no budget? And he's like, no, there's no budget for talent. I went, what? So you're making a show with no budget whatsoever? No, there's no budget for talent. You know, I went, but like Rico's come from Scunthorpe, took 2 days out of working to film this show. He's up in the village hotel, which is like, I don't know, probably 70 quid a night.
If not, more probably. The one at Headingley.
No, the one round South Leeds, round the corner. But still, it's going to be 60, 70 quid a night. I said, all right, you haven't got a budget for talent. I said, which is bullshit, because my money has got 30,000 quid over his shoulder. I said, you must have money to cover expenses. Yeah. No. And he sort of like got a bit funny. I said, ring somebody up at your fucking production company and get some money sent to Rico. Like, this is fucking disgusting. Like, I lost my shit. I was like, this is fucking disgusting. I can't believe, like, Rico don't know any different. I said, but I fucking know different. I was like, you should be paying him for his time.
Yeah.
And he's like he stood fast. This dude is like, nah, no budget, and I'm like, you fucking wankers. And I had to bounce there, which probably left a sour taste for the rest of the day for Rico. But I like, he asked for my help, and
it's not fair. That's the point. That budget's a thing. It's a consideration when you're making video. But the point is, it's not fair to get somebody involved in something which is going to make money. It's not public broadcasting. A lot of these production companies as well, what people don't know is, depending on the show, like Channel 4 or 5 or whatever, they're not, a lot of their stuff isn't in-house. The news with Jon Snow will be in-house, right? Yeah. But they pay production companies who are private companies that make money. They then sell that to Channel 4, and Channel 4 pay them money, and they make profit, right? Yeah. If you're making profit, it's not fair to have somebody come in and work pro bono for the sake of exposure. I had a similar story with, I did this, probably the last time I worked on TV, is I got this email just out of the blue from a company, and it's always the same. It's always like, oh, I work for this award-winning TV production company, we work with X, Y, Z, and we're doing this show, we think you'd be a great fit for it, and it'd be great exposure for you. I've seen it hundreds of times, maybe not hundreds, but many times, right? Just want to know if I could jump on a Zoom call with you or Skype or whatever it would have been back then to discuss it in detail. I said, I'm always polite, so with respect, I've done TV work before. If you can book me, if you tell me what the filming entails, how long it's going to be, how many days, whatever, I can give you a quote. We can go from there. If not, I know a lot of production companies give it we don't have a budget, so good luck with the show. He says, oh, yeah, no, we don't have a budget, but it's going to be a documentary about the British competitive eating scene. So we'd love to get you on board. I'm thinking...
Which hangs on you.
I'm like, there is no British competitive eating. That's why I go to America, 7 times a year back in 2019 to compete, because there isn't one. There are people that make eating videos, fair play, but there isn't a competitive eating scene. So I'm thinking, that's a bit weird. I said... Look, I appreciate it. Again, thanks for your kind words on the channel. If you've got any questions about competitive eating, like proper competitive eating, I'll answer them for you in an email, give you a bit of, a couple of one-liners or a bit of backstory, whatever. But if you want me to be part of the show, and this is what she was talking about, I think 2 days of filming at this point, or a day, can't remember. I said, you're going to have to pay me for it, otherwise I'm not interested. Yeah. Exposure doesn't mean anything to me, especially when, given the spec of the show, you're going to make me look like a tit, right? And I know that's how it's going to be. I'm not an idiot. And she kind of keeps going back and forth, and I said, look, you told me this show's been done in collaboration with Channel 4. They had the biggest viewership last year of all the terrestrial channels. They made the biggest profit of all the terrestrial channels. You cannot tell me. I said, you're not getting paid. You're not doing this for free. Lighting guy's not doing it for free. Sound guy's not doing it for free. Why would I do it for free when the whole thing, by the spec you've given me, hinges on me? Yeah. I said, I'm out, I don't want any part in it. She's like, okay. And then like a week goes by and I get another email from her, just out of the blue. I've forgotten about it, right? She says, hi Adam, just want to let you know we're pushing ahead with the documentary. Just want to know if you've reconsidered. So I said, I don't know, have you reconsidered paying me? And then she comes back with, look out for this one. Oh, because it's factual programming, we don't have a budget. Factual programming doesn't have a budget. I said, it's not factual programming. It's meant for entertainment, isn't it? It's not news. It's not factual programming. It might be in a documentary format, but it's not factual programming. I said, I don't care. If you don't have any budget, I'm not interested. I don't want to be on this thing. I said, I've told you no. You're the one that needs me. And then after a while, I think maybe a few more days, she said, okay, Adam, we've secured a budget now. Yes. Because I told her how much I would have charged, and I don't know how much it was. I know roughly how much it was, but she's like, yeah, we've secured a budget now. So they came up to Leeds to film and whatnot, because they wanted the whole, this is what I'm talking about when I say they colour you the way they want you to be coloured, right? So they made out that... like competitive eating was like the be all and end all to me, because I was they were getting other people on the show. I was the only one doing, competitive eating, some competitive eating contests with Major League Eating at this time, right? I'd done croquettes. I think I was getting ready for the Oyster Championships, and they were trying to get me to make out like it was the be all and end, like, oh yeah, my life is this, yeah. And I'm giving them honest answers, like it doesn't really mean that much to me. my videos mean a lot to me, creating content, but they're snapping all that out. They don't want people to know I've got a YouTube channel. They just want me to say it's life or death for me to win Nathan's one day, and it's not me, right? But anyway, they wanted this shot of me looking pensively over Leeds city centre, right, on a horrible grey day in England. Standard so day. I get that, but they rented out an apartment down by the dock, which is kind of like being redeveloped now near the armories. Yeah. So I meet him there, and I still remember the girl's name that I've been speaking to. She was called Megan, But I think she's like a jobber that's down in London doing all the work to get people together. So I get to this apartment and door opens and I'm like, oh, hi, I'm here for the filming. She's like, oh yeah, hi, I'm Megan. And I'm like, you're the girl that I've been speaking to. She's like, yeah. I said, you must think I'm a real dickhead then. She laughs a bit. She's like, well, no, we kind of get that, you need to get paid for this and that. I said, so who else is on the show? She tells me that a couple of other contributors. I said, how much are you paying them? And she just kind of looked at me like, I said, you're not paying them? She's like, no, we're paying them expenses. I'm like, all right. So because I knew what I was doing, because I'm not a fool, I get 1,600 quid out of this a couple of days of filming, and those other two people, which were entitled to money, get nothing. It's not fair, It's
Did
not
they pay for the apartment? That's what I want to know. Did the book? That's what I'm saying. Like the fucking. I bet they've.
Of course, they got.
Imagine
budget.
DMing like whoever owns the apartment. Do you mind if we just use your apartment for a couple of days for free?
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, it's a fucking Airbnb, son. Book it or
exactly
bounce.
It'd be great exposure for you to be on Channel 4 on this show that nobody's going to watch. But I remember thinking like. I bet there'll be people listening to this now thinking, it's a bit conceited to want money for, to just turn up for a day. But you have to factor in so many things, like you're taking time away from working, it's the cost you getting there, it's the fact that you're going to get bags of flack off the back of it that you're going to have to deal with.
Anybody self-employed will understand exactly what we're saying. Like anybody that's like, your paycheck, your monthly income is determined by the days that you physically work. Like if you take the days off, there's no pay that day.
Yeah.
That's the game.
Especially because they wanted me to do some eating as well. Like they wanted me to do like some oyster. They said to me, we want to get you practicing for the oyster contest that's coming up. How would you practice? I said, I'm the world's laziest practicer. I wouldn't practice for it. It's oysters. That they set up in Leeds Market. This poor fishmonger bloke who had to be on the show, like encouraging me to eat these oysters really quick or whatever. But and the worst part of that was as well, it was every bit what I thought it would be. They just clipped it to represent me. Not in a bad light, but just to make out like that they play. My mum actually watched it because I told her it was going to be on TV. I didn't watch it when I've seen it since, but I didn't watch it when it went out. I'm not interested, But I told my mum I was going to be on TV and my gran, so they watched it. And I get this text message from my mum at whatever it had been, like 8 at night, saying, Adam, you could have told me about that part with your dad. Because my dad had recently died, right? And there was, I don't even know if I knew they were shooting because I just rolled as soon as I got in there. So they were using stuff that I didn't even know that I was recording at the time. Which is, I didn't say anything that I wouldn't say. But I think they asked me something about like what would it? That was what I said. I said it's on ESPN, because I didn't know I was going to qualify for Nathan's. I said, I might try because it's the biggest competitive eating event. It's on ESPN, BT Sport over here. I said I think my dad always wanted me to be. I'm shivering, by the way. It's that cold now.
Yeah, no, my nose is running. It's fucking freezing.
I said my dad he was really into sport. He always wanted me to be a sportsman. I think he had dreams to watch me play football. Maybe not for anyone in the Premier League, but he wanted me to do something. Yeah. I said this isn't what he would have wanted, but I think he would. And this is maybe 3 months after my dad's died. I said I think he would get a bit of a buzz if he was here. Or if you believe in an afterlife or anything like that, that he knows his son's on ESPN doing something admittedly daft, but the first bloke to do it for England, really, and throw down reasonably well and whatnot. And they played all this fucking sad music in the background with cellos and whatnot. I'm thinking, fucking hell. And my mum messages me. She's like, you could have told me. I said, Mum, I didn't know, man. They're going to put this and make it out to be a big deal. Because for me, that interview, I'm sat there laughing saying, it doesn't really mean much to me competitive eating. It's good. I'm good at it. In fact, I said as well, it's a bit like being... in the eating world, it's a bit like being not a Ronaldo or a Messi or something like that. It's a bit like being, I think I said like Harry Kane or something. That's probably a bit much, but maybe I said it's a bit like being, I'm thinking like being an everyman journeyman footballer, James Milner or something like that, plays football. It's like, you're good enough to be in there, but you're not a world beater and that's all right with me, But they're clipping it to make it sound like, I love competitive. It means the world to me when it doesn't. So you just got to be aware of the fact they're making it to put their agenda forward. They don't give a shit about you. Not a single... You couldn't tell them to take anything out of that show. If we get guests on here and they say something and they say to us halfway through, I didn't mean that. It was a bit clumsy. Can you clip it out? We'll clip it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They're not going to be accommodating like that. So, yeah, I mean, being on TV, it's no fun. Really, it's not. The only fun one I ever did was this Japanese TV show called Battle of Big Eaters, which was mad. This was when I first started, right? And it's like, real quick, I'll tell you the story. But it's like a World Cup of competitive eating, right? But it's on just for TV.
Yeah.
And they get four-person teams, right? So have like a Japanese team, an American team, and then 2 whipping boys. So British team aren't going to win shit. And then Taiwan, I think it was the first year I did it, and then Australia, right? So we're there to just be whipped by the other 2 and make it into a tournament. And they approached me to do it, and they said, we're going to give you flight out to New York. You'll be in New York for a week, I think-ish. Accommodation in New York, all your expenses paid. If you're going to be eating, which I'm not, because I'm going to be filming eating all the time, and we're going to give you £1,000.
Wow.
That was back in 2000. I think that was maybe a year after I started.
Yeah.
That's how a TV production should approach you. Maybe not £1,000, maybe not your free flights and whatnot, but they're saying this is what we're going to give you in return for that. You're going to shoot for us, and that was that had its moments, but that was all right, you know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they've gone about it the right way, aren't they? Even if there would have been no pay, you know, you get all expenses trip to New York. You're going to have your downtime. It's all covered. You'd go, I can weigh up my options now and go, I mean, that seems like a fair gig. My biggest gripe from that one that we did with Rico is you can actually see me, because again, they rolled straight away. So like I'm in the...
So you're in it?
Yeah, I'm like, motherfuckers. Like I'm in the background at the very start, and then I bounced. I'm like, motherfuckers. But the worst part I'm like, so they've got a 2-cam setup. There's only a producer and a cam op. So the fucking producer then became the second camera operator.
Yeah.
Mate, you could have fucking color graded this thing better. Like they had this like FX9, like all singing, all dancing. The shot B cam from the producer, all in a gimbal with like an A7 II on it. It wasn't even a video camera. It was like barely a photography camera. That's what the shot B cam on. And it looked like one had been filmed on a black and white carrot, and the other one had been filmed on a cinema camera. And there's not a fucking chance they could have graded them any worse. It was painful to my eyes.
Mate, when I did that one for I'm talking about where I was negotiating pay with them. The guy or one of the guys operating the camera, I don't know what model camera. It was a fucking big one.
Yeah,
it was like your what's that big one you have in here?
FS5.
Yeah, I think it was bigger than that. And I said to him, because he shot one shot of me. We're out on a balcony, and I'm thinking, because they'd asked, what's that place down some stairs, a bit near Core Lane in Leeds? Head of Steam? No, it's not Head of Steam. What was it, man? Nah, near Jake's Bar, but close. It's right on the river. No, man. Whatever.
It doesn't, does it?
Anyway, no, it doesn't. But it's going to bug me now. But yeah, they rented that out before. They didn't rent it out. They said, can they use it before they opened?
Yeah.
And they got the shot, but they had the bar, right? And they had studio lights for them, obviously. And they didn't shoot inside the bar. They went outside, and it's a cloudy day. I'm thinking the lights can be all over the place. And I'm sitting there, guy, he's shooting me like into the light.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not telling you, I wasn't trying to tell him how to do his job. I'm thinking he's probably just got some kit here, which it doesn't matter. Dynamic range is probably so good. It doesn't. And I'm saying to him, like, do you normally like overexpose like then? You shoot log, and he's like, and I'm thinking, he doesn't even know. He's just there holding the camera, and I don't even know that he knows like about. He's like, nah, I don't really overexpose it. Sometimes I'll underexpose. I'm like, well, if you're shooting log, you should never underexpose it. You might overexpose it depending on what type of log it is. But I'm like, what the fuck's he on about? You know, like
we get technically heavy. Like, what the fuck?
But I'm just thinking like, you don't know who they're using, and if somebody doesn't know how to use a camera, is getting paid their wage to be there.
Yeah, they've got a day rate.
I'm for sure getting paid. You know.
Mate, I'm actually impressed with how far we've carried this conversation. How long we ran for there, George? That must be an hour, that.
Yeah, 50 minutes.
Yeah, I'm impressed. To say that you had no show notes, that was all from your...
That all came from the heart. That's because I hate being on TV. I hate TV production. I hate TV. I hate the way that they approach people. So I got through on pure passion there.
One takeaway that I've got from that is the Megan in this scenario. We need a Megan, because fucking hell, right? Like if we could get one thing for this podcast, it'd be somebody to book people, because it's such a I get emails all the time for shit. You'll get even more than me. It's difficult to get into somebody's inbox and get an acknowledgement is painful. And I must have sent 20 emails. Sorry, I spat then.
Say it, don't spray it, brother.
20 emails to people of Louis Theroux to be at the top of the tree.
You're aiming high there, mate. Come on.
Like I've gone down the list and I had one response.
At least that
Tom Stoltman.
That means I don't have to
world's
suck
strongest man.
That means I don't have to suck your dick though. I did say if you got Louis Theroux on the show, I'd do it. I think I don't. Yeah, I don't hold that. The only thing I hold against people is if they say yeah and then they back out. Just if you don't want to be on the show, just say no.
Yeah.
You know, that's the best thing for me. But I mean, even speaking about paying people, even we've talked about like if we could get a guest on, we don't make any money. I said, but like I'll stump up a couple $100 to get them on. And
we're covering expenses for people. Like, but that's and we're saying like if you would like to come, we will pay for you to get here.
Yeah, of course. So if we can do that, then like TV production companies have no excuse.
Yeah. Did you see that last thing on again going into A-lister Jack mate who? The sort of a story they're supposed to be coming up at some point.
Fucking hell, you have to pay him like money to mention his name now.
Yeah,
name check whenever you want.
Is Cristiano Ronaldo going on his podcast?
You sure it wasn't on April Fool's? Because they posted that on April Fool's Day.
Oh, was it? Oh, maybe. Like I actually wasn't surprised by it because they've put out some A-listers up, haven't they, recently? Johnny Knoxville.
I saw that as like, nah, it's an April Fool's. I don't think that's real. I could be wrong.
Let's have a quick butchers. Let's see if we got had. And then
don't say we because you got had.
All right, yeah.
I was onto it. We should have done an episode on April Fool's actually.
What do you mean on like good April's Fools?
I don't know. Yeah, we probably couldn't have strung out for a full episode.
4 days ago. Oh yeah, we're on April Fools.
We should have announced Louis Theroux.
Imagine the backlash. I knew that wasn't.
Maybe it wasn't April Fool's then. But he has gone like A-list. Like yes.
Yeah, what you were getting at, I think, there is that he shared the tweet that he sent to Ricky Gervais, which is what got Ricky Gervais on the show. No,
yeah, my point is like now they've got so big because Jack booked them all.
Yeah.
Up until this latest season, and now Spotify do the booking, which is why it's put them into another realm of guests.
Yeah, to be fair, it's hard though, isn't it? Because I've said to you before, I've been asked to go on podcasts because I don't really like talking about myself, believe it or not. I just don't want to do them. I want to cover old ground, that I've done before. It's not incumbent upon me to do them.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't really have the time. So if you're approaching people that are, who've got proper lives and real jobs, then it's hard to get people on. But we keep trying.
We persevere. We'll get there.
We've got that siren.
That's coming for you. That son.
You won't be able to pick up on the mics anyway. We've got Kate. I don't know when the fuck this is going up, but we've got Kate Ovens coming on, right? That last one we filmed was shit, so this might go up before.
There's a couple of guests confirmed.
You might have to edit this part, George, but just in case this goes up before the Kate Ovens one. Kate Ovens is coming on by popular demand, so that'll be a laugh.
Yeah, a bit exciting. There's a couple of guests lined up. We're all right. I've even said to some people that email, I'm like, we'll fucking come to you. We've got the kit. We'll drive down and shoot it.
Take us on the road. We'll get a van. We'll get the Breaking Bread logo on the side.
Oh, that'd be good. Wouldn't it? You can do some eating. We'll just do a UK road trip. In fact, we need to go abroad. Fuck it. Get abroad. Get some of your eating mates. Like I'll come. We'll take this global.
We could. I keep saying I want to do Justin Hawking.
DM him. We'll go. Where is it? Sweden.
Justin Hawkins. No, is it Justin Hawkins? Hawkins.
If anybody's still watching or listening to this, I'll be gobsmacked.
It's better than the last episode. Let me just real quick find out. There's going to be a bit of dead air here. Justin Hawkins. Yeah, I knew it was that. Justin Hawkins, yeah. I've been watching his channel lately. I mentioned it a few times. Justin Hawkins Rides Again, but I think he's resident in Switzerland.
Oh, Switzerland.
But give him an email and just see if you can...
DM him, man. You've got the blue tick.
People don't... Nah, he's one of those people that, again, have the talent agency rep people. You're like, who's this idiot, man? This dude that eats food on the internet.
All right, I'll send him an email later then.
Yeah,
we'll fly to Geneva.
We'll come out to Switzerland's neutral ground, right?
Yeah.
You could...
that's expensive. We spoke about that before.
What's Switzerland famous for? Nazi gold and chocolate clogs. I might be stereotyping a bit there.
Like money laundering. I thought
probably that too. Yeah.
I thought that's where you go. You don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah. Anyway, are we signing out?
Sign it out.
Yeah. So in summary, if you ever get asked to do TV, don't do it. Or if you're gonna do it, get paid.
Wise words. Well, it's been an honour.
Peace.
Shocked we got through it. Bye bye.